All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So, Alan Jackson, like a few other country artists, Travis Tritt recently, George Strait not too long ago, are still trying to save their format from complete destruction. Although I don't know if that's even possible at this stage. For the past couple of decades, country music has been inundated with pop and hip hop and rap and things that don't even remotely sound like country music. And when I say things, I'm talking mostly artists who've come along and they don't wear the cowboy boots, they don't wear the hat, they don't really do anything all that country, um, and they don't sing all that country. And this has been going on now for a couple of decades, but I would say really more prevalent maybe the last 15, 14, 15 years. The cool neo traditional style that really came of age in the 1990s, combined with elements of rock and roll. There was no hip hop. I remember when Shania Twain came out, and that had a completely different production value to it, and some people were just not happy. And now you look back at Shania Twain and you think she's just so hardcore, but definitely her husband, Robert Mutt Lang, at the time, uh, certainly added elements to that music that gave it more pop appeal. A couple of years later, she was pretty much only singing pop tunes, which some country artists in those days, like Faith Hill, they evolved into something else a little bit different from their traditional earlier works. But you can't say that about Alan Jackson. If anything, Alan Jackson has gone even more hardcore on his new album. It's called Where Have You Gone? And the song is actually about the music. It's not about a person or thing. It's about the music as he reminisces about a format that is almost completely gone. Now, there are some exceptions. You can turn on country stations and still hear country, but there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't sound like country. And the subject matter, too. Singing about tractors and beer all the time, which those were topics in the old days. I did the watermelon crawl back in the 90s, but there was so much more creativity to that. And it wasn't just the goal of every song at the end of the song to kind of, have the girl, have the tractor, and have the beer. There was a lot of clever things that were being said and being sung about in country music from the 90s, and obviously prior to that in the 80s, and going back to the days of Waylon and Willie and just all of those ground, Merle Haggard, all those people that were just singing about real life. And that's one thing that Alan Jackson is doing on this new record. The album is slated to arrive on May the 14th. 21 songs on one record. And he's hanging out with Keith Stegall, or Stegall, not sure how to say his name, but Keith has been a longtime writer and collaborator. And if you look back on those older albums, you'll see his name all over it. Those two worked really well together. But here's some of the lyrics from this title track, which I think is really important because some people are willing to kind of fight for their format or fight for what's right in life and so forth. Soft steel guitar, oh, how I've missed you. Words from the heart, let me hear you again. Sounds from the soul, fiddle, I need you. Sweet country music, where have you gone? Sweet country music, please come back home. No one's ever going to accuse Alan Jackson of not being authentic, just like Travis Tritt, who's got a bit more outlaw biker in him. And I like that. I like that you've got different styles. You've got George Strait, who's certainly the cowboy on the ranch. So everybody adds different things to country music. The late Joe Diffie, who I just spoke of, who had this incredible voice, which just sort of, you know, wove in between the high notes and the low notes in a way that was just um, so nice on the ears. It was somebody who could really bring a song home, even though a lot of his songs were written by outside writers. You had to have somebody to deliver the message, and Joe Diffie, God rest his soul, he used to do that. So, um, this kind of music, is it going to be around for much longer? I don't know. There is a thing in West Texas, and it's called red dirt music or red dirt country. And Texas is such a big state. They got their own radio format down there. They got their own music charts that you can follow if you want to hear some authentic, traditional country music with different influences, but really getting back to basics for the most part. That's something to really look towards. Look, Nashville, like Los Angeles, like New York, Nashville is a hub for this stuff now. But things have changed a lot in Nashville. Nashville is not like Music City. It's, you know, make some quick bucks city. It's a different era for Nashville. Not to say that everything that comes out of there is bad or anything, but times have changed a lot. And quite honestly, I'm hoping that every format has a comeback. Classic rock has a format that plays the music that we used to hear on the radio next to music that relates to that older music. I'd like to see that. Obviously, if you're going to tune into country, you should be able to listen to something from 1994 along with something from today and have it kind of all blend well together. Uh, I don't know if that's possible. And, you know, ageism is a thing too. George Strait wrote a song a couple of years ago or sung a song called Kicked Out of Country. And it was very autobiographical. Here's a guy who ruled country radio. Even 10 years ago, George Strait would be played on the radio. But the last 3 or 4 years, there's just no room for old George or Alan. And I understand you have to have an image in this business and you have to look good and you can't have a lot of wrinkles and you can't, you know, you start looking older even though you put a cowboy hat on, so you're losing your hair. I mean, there are ways where country artists can still look great, and who cares, right? I mean, country shouldn't be about image. I mean, I get it, you know, hair metal, that was about image, but country, yeah, other than the boots and the spurs and the um, cowboy hat, it's pretty simple, pretty basic. And if you're authentic, you can hear it. I mean, even if you don't dress the part well, people can see it and they can hear it and they know authentic when they hear it and see it. So, in any event, it's kind of encouraging to see an older artist like Alan Jackson releasing music. And again, my channel right now, I'm trying to kind of branch out into different areas because each day, you know, you look up stuff about the music that I grew up listening to, and there's not much to talk about. There's just not. And especially with bands not touring and so forth because of these continued restrictions, it just makes it difficult for a lot of news to get out there. So check out Alan Jackson. If you're not a fan, I understand. I've been a fan of his for quite a long time. Living on Love is one of my favorite all-time songs, period. I could listen to that song like, I don't know, 50 times over and over again and not get really sick of it. The music and the message in the song, you don't hear that kind of stuff on the radio too often. So that's it. That's my video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.